Thank you all for being here and for everyone who's tuning in online for this, what we think is an important briefing about the weather all across our state. I'm joined here with Tema Director Patrick Sheehan, meteorologist Ryan Husted with the National Weather Service, and we are in the State Emergency Operations Center, where officials have been working around the clock here for 24 hours to make sure that we monitor and able to inform Tennesseans about the threat that is happening all across the state. First, I want to touch on the significant tornado damage and flood damage that's occurred already across West Tennessee and Middle Tennessee. Earlier today, Director Sheehan and I traveled to McNairy County, to Selmer, where we saw immense devastation from the tornadoes. Entire neighborhoods that were completely wiped out, apartment complexes that were destroyed by the tornado, many families displaced, loss of life, and just true devastation across that part of the state. But we also saw heroic efforts from Tennesseans. First of all, from volunteers, from neighbors, Tennesseans doing the thing that Tennesseans do in times of real crisis. And there were volunteers. We were in a Red Cross center where there were donations of food and supplies, people coming in that had lost their homes for shelter. They were coming in for necessary supplies. We saw churches, nonprofits. As I said, we saw Tennesseans reaching out and serving their neighbors in a real devastating time of need. But we also saw the professionals, TDOT, Tennessee Highway Patrol, National Guard, many others, the local law enforcement officials that were there, the emergency management agencies there on the ground locally. We met with the local county mayors and city mayors. There was a great deal of effort being made in that community, and it's reflective of what's happening all across the state. It's a unique weather event for our state because this is a multi-day severe storm that has already produced tornadoes, heavy rains, flooding across the state, hail. There is damage from all across West Tennessee into Middle Tennessee. But fortunately, this forecast materialized days in advance, and we were able to declare a state of emergency yesterday in advance of the storm reaching here. And I want to thank President Trump for, in response to that, his swift approval of our federal emergency declaration that was declared by the President. Director Sheehan can share more about that in a moment when he speaks. The main message I want to have for Tennesseans tonight is this is a multi-day storm. There's been a lot of damage, there have been a lot of tornadoes, there's been loss of life and real devastation across the state. But this storm is going to continue. There'll be continued tornado warnings, there's continued flooding, and there's continued danger for Tennesseans. The main message tonight is don't let your guard down. Don't stop watching the weather. Don't stop preparing yourself. Have a plan. Follow the lead of those professionals out there who understand exactly what's happening across the state, and know that while the weather has changed even in the last 24 hours, it will continue over the next 24 hours. And in some ways, in different areas with greater amounts of severity. So our main message tonight is continue to be vigilant, continue to watch and track and have a plan and be prepared for what's ahead. So, Director Sheehan.
Thank you, Governor. So we're working really hard to try to be proactive. So we're at a level 3 state of emergency now. The governor issued an emergency disaster declaration and requested an emergency declaration from the President of the United States. And today, President Trump authorized FEMA to provide emergency protective measures, Category B, under the Stafford Act, in the form of direct federal assistance. So we worked with FEMA to identify swiftwater teams and other assets that we could use, and we continue to work with our partners at FEMA and in the federal government to determine what additional aid might be necessary. So what this disaster declaration means, this emergency declaration means for us right now, is that we have access to unique federal assistance that's going to be able to help us respond to the first parts of this emergency. In the state response, Tema, the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, is working with local officials to respond to requests from local jurisdictions. Part of that is also being proactive in calling up swiftwater rescue teams and having them roster their teams and be ready to go at a moment's notice. So that's teams all across the state, probably right around 20 teams who know that we might call upon them. We also reached out to our neighboring states who we have often helped with swiftwater assets during hurricane response and flood responses to make them aware that we may ask for assistance. The impact so far is, as of 4 p.m., we had 7,500 connections, homes and businesses that were still without power. So that number continues to fluctuate, and as we see heavy storms move through, strong storms move through, that number will creep up, and then the line crews will restore them. So our max power outages so far was 15,400 earlier this morning. The utilities hit hardest right now are in Chester County and Hardeman County, and that's the Henderson Water Department that has a boil water advisory, and the Hardeman County in the Grand Junction Water Department that has no water right now. So for folks there that need water, they should contact their utility for further instructions, and the county EMA, and those folks can help get water to them. This storm system has caused a number of weather-related fatalities. We have confirmed with the Tennessee Department of Health now that we have 5 weather-related fatalities. So 1 each in Carroll, McNairy, and Obion counties, and 2 in Fayette County. We do have the sense that there will be more, and just know that our reporting is deliberate when it comes to fatalities. We err on the side of caution and making sure that we're not double counting, and also to make sure that families have had time to be notified. Donations are something that we're starting to hear a lot about already. We're getting phone calls and getting queries on social media and emails. So that volunteer spirit is so important in the aftermath of the disaster. The governor and I spoke about seeing that in the shelters with the Red Cross volunteers and people already bringing things there. But we encourage people that aren't affiliated with an organization, just wait a pause to find out what the jurisdictions are going to ask for and what kind of help they need. You can always donate to a reputable organization. In this instance, the Community Foundation of West Tennessee has stepped up, and they're ready to take donations, and they'll help fund survivors or fund organizations that will help survivors. You can go and check Tema's website, tn.gov/Tema, to find more information on how to donate. Counties are being proactive as well. Storm shelters were open last night ahead of the storm, so the governor and I visited the county courthouse in McNairy County at the end of our visit today, and county mayor and the EMA director there shared that more than 200 people sought refuge there ahead of the storms. And as we saw a trailer park that was utterly destroyed, talking to the EMA director there, that we know that some of the people that sought refuge there were from that trailer park. And so certainly lives were spared, and injuries were avoided by having safe places available for them to go. You can also find more information about shelters at tn.gov/Tema, where we work with our local jurisdictions to compile the locations of those assets. We've also opened the Crisis Cleanup Hotline. Survivors that need assistance with cleanup efforts following severe weather can call 615-488-1875. Again, you can also find more information about that on our website or on our social media posts. And so we just also want to encourage, the governor talked about the need to stay vigilant, not let the guard down. So have multiple ways to receive warnings. I'm sure many of you that are watching this now received multiple tornado warnings or flash flood warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings last night. So don't let the fact that they can be annoying or cause you to maybe have a blood pressure spike get in the way of paying attention to what's going on around you. So don't turn on Do Not Disturb, please. Just stay aware, stay engaged. The National Weather Service, I think, does a tremendous job of issuing very localized warnings that are actionable by many of us. So many local emergency management agencies also have their own notification systems, so you might check your county emergency management agency's web pages to see what services you might be able to sign up for. So again, we ask, please don't self-deploy into disaster areas. and wait for the local officials to ask for help. They'll need it, and they'll need a lot. So there'll be lots of opportunities to help in the days and weeks ahead. Don't cross flooded roadways. It's so important, and it's hard to know, especially as it's getting, nightfall is coming now. It's very hard to know how deep the water is on the roadway. So we ask you, we implore you, please turn around, don't drown. And just continue to monitor for updated weather information from reliable sources like the National Weather Service, and contact your local emergency management agency if you need help. So, Governor, thanks. Ron?
Okay. Thank you. Okay, yes. Again, I'm with the National Weather Service. I'm the meteorologist there. And unfortunately, this event looks like it's going to continue. Tonight, we have storms going on right now. We've had tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings all afternoon. That continues. Not only do we have the severe weather threat, we still have that threat for flash flooding. That's going to continue overnight. I was just looking at the radar. We have more rain coming in from Arkansas, heading towards West Tennessee that was hit so hard last night with the flash flooding, and even unfortunately towards the Nashville area. We've had plenty of reports of flooding today in the Nashville metro area. Tomorrow, we have a little bit of a good news. I'm not going to rule out thunderstorms completely, but there may be a lull in activity for some of us across West and Middle Tennessee. This storm system is going to back up a little and going to take most of the heavy precipitation and storm activity with it. There's still potential for strong to severe thunderstorms tomorrow, so do not let your guard down tomorrow afternoon and then well after dark in West Tennessee. Then Saturday. Saturday is the day that concerns me the most right now, because we have time for our atmosphere to recharge, which means we have the potential for dangerous severe thunderstorms once again. In addition, our ground is saturated. Any rain that falls is going to run off and it's going to cause flooding. I'm very confident in this. Saturday is a dangerous day going into Saturday night for flash flooding. So again, make sure you have multiple ways to get those warnings. Flash flood warnings, tornado warnings, whether that's weather apps, county alerting apps, National Weather Service. Again, do not have your phone on Do Not Disturb. Have those wireless emergency alerts ready, because it could save your life. It really could. Flooding at night, very dangerous situation. Not only could the water be covering up the road, but the road may not be there anymore, and you're not going to be able to see that. So minimize travel if you can Thursday, especially Saturday, with all the flooding potential.
Great.
That's the update I have.
Thank you. I'll reiterate to heed the warnings. We were in McNairy County today, and what we saw and we heard locally was that there were entire neighborhoods wiped out, but many in those neighborhoods heard the warning, they knew it was coming, and they went to shelter. And if you see the neighborhoods that they fled, you know that the local officials saved a tremendous amount of life and harm because people did heed the warnings that they got in advance. So remember that. This is going to continue for the next couple of days, and we just want to make sure that Tennesseans are safe, that they understand exactly what's coming, and that they protect themselves and their families. And finally, I will just say, what I saw today was heartbreaking, and I encourage you, if you are so inclined, to pray for those throughout our state that are facing devastating circumstances tonight. Many of them lost family members. There may be more. They lost their homes. They lost their livelihoods. So pray for them, but also make certain that you follow all the directions going forward. And we will continue to keep people informed. Know that the professionals, TDOT, Highway Patrol, National Guard, they're all on the ground, they're all deployed, and they're going to be working to make sure that Tennesseans are safe. Happy to answer questions if you have any.
You mentioned speaking with President Trump in order to order that state of emergency. Do you think that he'll be visiting the state?
I don't know the plans that he has, but I will say that they have been very responsive from the federal government to our number one, with our requests, and then outreach to just offer assistance when necessary. And the other encouraging thing is we've seen people from around the state, but people from outside the state. Folks come from Mississippi and even from Arkansas who have their own challenges. Governors from adjacent states have reached out to me and not only offered their help and assistance, but they're actually deploying some of those assets into our state. So we feel very encouraged about the support both from the federal government and from our neighboring states. Any other questions? All right, thank you all.